Oh man, I love this game. A lot of people do, actually. It's one of those indie games that ended up being pretty good, so that means people usually won't shut the hell up about it. I think this game deserves all the praise it gets, though. It manages to not just be a good indie game, but just a good game in general. In fact, I think it was better than a lot of games I played in 2011.
Proper story's supposed to start at the beginning. Ain't so simple with this one. Now here's a kid whose whole world got all twisted, leaving him stranded on a rock in the sky.
So Bastion's big selling point is that there's a narrator who narrates the whole game, and I think it works quite well.
He gets up, sets off for the Bastion, where everyone agreed to go in case of trouble. Ground forms up under his feet as it pointing the way. He don't stop to wonder why. Finds his lifelong friend just lying in the road. Well, it's a touching reunion. He sees what's left of the rippling walls, years of work undone in an instant, in the calamity. That a survivor? No, ma'am. It's a gas fella, forced out from underground. Kid pops him good. Starts to feel his bruises, though.
So the narrator generally says the same thing every time you play, but some of his lines will change depending on how you've been playing the game. Usually just little minor touches. Like if I had actually taken damage during that fight, he would have said something a little different. So we've got the Sail Hammer as 2 attacks right now. It's got the standard 2-hit combo for when you're staying still. This one hits pretty hard. And then you have a single attack you can use while moving that does about half the amount of damage as the 2-hit combo. It's a lot faster, and it keeps you moving, and it swings in a little bit of an arc, so you can actually hit multiple enemies at the same time if they're close together.
Kid just rages for a while.
And the little blue things at the bottom here are the game's currency. They're called fragments.
An old repeater falls out of the sky. Ain't a gift from the gods, but it'll have to do. Gotta hold her still to spin up the chamber.
So the repeater's a pretty simple weapon. There aren't too many tricks to it. Basically, it's just got a couple of shots. Can't move while shooting. You can move while reloading, though. So generally, the idea is you want to fire off a couple of shots, reload, run away, pick a new spot to fire.
Kid's worked up quite a thirst by now, so that fountain looks real inviting. Sometimes you just need a drink.
Health tonics heal a little bit less than 2/3 of your health, and you can hold 3 of them.
A school of squirts tunnels up around him. Must have fled here from the mines.
So squirts are the most basic enemy type in the game. They aren't too threatening at first. Later they'll come in huge packs, and if you get caught in between them, they can deal out a whole lot of damage pretty fast. So here is the first memento of the game. These are collectibles, I guess. Most of them just serve as world building for the game, but some of them do have a purpose.
Kid finds a memento from a girl he knew. Always used to fancy her.
So we've got the pack, which is where you can look at all your mementos and other key items that you've got. Right now I've got the city crest, which is the thing the kid carries on his back, and the crystal beret that we just picked up. I will be posting all of them in the thread so you can read their descriptions.
It's a wonder the old saloon's still standing. Used to have the nicest view. He sets foot inside one of Celandia's famous watering holes. Inside's old Rondi, the bartender. The calamity got him before his drinking did. Then Kid finds his trusty shield. The security takes him for a petty thief.
So the shield is really valuable in this game. It also doubles as locking on to enemies. Projectiles will bounce off your shield and hurt enemies. But the most important thing is, if you block...
Clang. Shield saves his hide.
Right when an attack is about to hit you, you'll counterattack.
Windbags start turning up for last call.
And the other thing is, if you don't get the timing right and you just flat out block an attack, it makes enemies dizzy for a little bit. Which is still pretty handy.
More squirts start coming out of the woodwork. A big old fella pops out in front of the kid.
So again, counterattacks with a shield are really strong. They can pretty much vaporize some weaker enemies. You can even counter these guys, but it's a little hard. Most of them telegraph in some way. These guys, they make a little hissing noise. And they also have little orange bubbles pop up over their heads. Still a little hard to tell, because it sounds a little quiet and the bubbles are a little hard to see.
Kid sees the way to the Bastion out the window. It's a bit of a drop. Ronde always wanted his ashes scattered here.
Also, you can pick up fruit and vegetables. They heal a little bit of health, like maybe 1 hit point each.
He gets a good look at things on his way down. He lands on top of a breaker's bow, and it ain't broke. Kid spies a good perch for some target practice. He knows he should draw the string all the way back.
It's like you said, the more you draw the string, the stronger the arrow's gonna be. When you flash, it means you're at full power.
The kid pockets a memento from a breaker, once the fastest man in the land.
So these mementos, these something blank mementos, are actually upgrade materials for your weapons. So the other thing, when you're drawing the bow back and you flash, if you let the arrow go right when you flash,
Wasn't long before the kid could loose an arrow, strong and true.
you do a power shot, which is basically a mini critical hit. So you want to get good at that timing, because it's a lot stronger than a normal arrow shot.
Good news is the emergency defenses still work. Bad news is they're aiming for the kid. Right back at you. And then he falls to his death. I'm just fooling.
Here is the game's first secret skill.
Picks up a few pointers from a dusty old tome. He's a mighty fast learner.
So secret skills are just special attacks. You can have one equipped at a time, and most of them are associated with a different weapon. Some of them do not need you to have a certain weapon equipped to use it, but most of them, certain weapons. Secret techniques, secret skills, whatever. They use black tonics, which we can also carry 3 of. And also, I don't know if you just noticed that, but I just killed 2 squirts with 1 arrow. Arrows can actually penetrate targets. Right now, I believe an arrow can penetrate up to 3 targets. Oops.
He finds the distillery, right next to the arsenal. tough part of town. One sip of the spirits in that distillery, and the kid'll feel like a new man.
So this is how leveling up works in Bastion. Every time you level up, you get 2 more hit points, and you get a new tonic slot. Tonics just have various effects, and this is pretty much how you customize your character. There are no real stats. At the moment, we've got Squirt Cider, which gives us 10 extra health points. We've got Dread Rum, which gives us an 10% critical hit chance, but only when we're at full health. And then Fetching Fizz, which just lets us pick up money from further away, which is probably the least useful of all the tonics. Most of them are pretty good.
The arsenal's where the kid can pick the best tools for the job.
Can carry 2 weapons and 1 secret skill like before. At the moment, I think we'll go back to the Fang Repeater, because we have a few other secret skills. We've also got Bolt Burst and Dancing Shot. Dancing Shot is for the Breaker's Bow. Bolt Burst is for the Repeater. I think Bolt Burst is pretty decent. Just fire bolts all around.
Some of them squirts birthing like crazy in a couple of corn bins.
So corn bins just spawn squirts endlessly, and they do not give you any experience points to prevent you from farming. And if you saw that, there was a little flash, and the damage indicator above one of the squirts was yellow instead of red. That means it was a critical hit. Also, if you are full on either tonics, health tonics, or black tonics, picking up excess ones gives you another 10 experience points.
That one was Maud, the tutor. Once taught the kid good manners. He never used them, though.
You can always tell when to counter those guys because they start shaking right before they attack you.
An old ferry barge sends the kid on his way. The Bastion's real close now.
And those boxes, when they break open, they always spawn some enemies, but if you can actually destroy them before they pop open, you kill all the enemies inside.
Kid takes a chunk of alloy. Smell of barley and spoiled blueberries fills the air. Scumbags. Kid maybe shouldn't have done what he just did.
So scumbags can be a little annoying because the goo they shoot, when you're standing on it, it does damage over time, and it also slows you down, which is a bit of a pain when there's a lot of other enemies around. Also, this big guy, once he picks an area to attack, he'll always attack that area. He can't change his mind. But you can probably see that when he actually hits the ground, the floor breaks, so that's a bit of a problem.
Robs a scumbag of his last meal. Kid puts him out of his misery.
Oh, excuse me for a second while I pick up all this money.
He finds the core to the Wharf District. He steals the city's heart. Might as well. Kid has a feeling he better get a move on. The place is starting to fall.
Also, rolling does a little bit of damage, which is why you can roll through objects.
See, that core Kid took was the only thing making this particular rock stay afloat. Kid just keeps running, somersaulting like crazy. At last, the skyway is in sight. Whisks him where he needs to go. Now the kid sees something stranger still. His mind races. Did anybody else survive? Sure enough, he finds another. He finds me. We talk for a spell.
So, picking up mementos also gives you more things to talk about.
There's a bit of the Bastion's power in that crest, enough to point the way to the cores. All I tell him is to set that core of his on the monument there, then watch. I try to let the kid down gently. This is the Bastion, all right, except no one else showed up. Ain't always much to say. And just like that, the Bastion comes alive. Starts growing again, growing stronger. Kid's gotta put its power to good use. Now the Bastion can send him even farther into the wild unknown.
So, the Bastion is basically the hub for the game. And when we add in new cores, we can build things on foundations. This isn't a deep thing. You're always going to build the same things.
Kid ponders what to build.
You have a small choice in what you want to build first. And we could build the arsenal or the distillery. I think it's better to build the distillery right now, because there's not much use for the arsenal at the moment, because we don't have too many weapons. We did level up, though.
Makes time to sample spirits from my personal supply.
So since we leveled up, we have a new slot, and because we just built the distillery, there are a couple new tonics. There's Hearty Punch, which gives you an extra life when you die, and also when you die, you send out a shockwave to hurt enemies around you. There's also Were Whiskey, which gives you a 100% critical hit chance if you're below 33% health, which is really useful. Were Whiskey is one of the best spirits in the game. And Cinderbrick Stout, which just lets you move 33% faster while defending, which I guess is okay. Hearty Punch and Were Whiskey, though, both quite good.
Were Whiskey has no scent, but tastes like a peppered boot heel. It's not for everyone. Kid don't know what's out there waiting for him. The Skyway. Now the kid can ride the wind to distant lands.
So for each area, the narrator also has something to say, or the stranger as we know him right now. The Wharf District is where we just came from.
The Wharf District. Folks sail deep into the boundless sea from here. The Bastion. Caelandia's safe haven. Once the highest point in the city. Too bad it wasn't finished before the calamity struck.
And now what we've got over here is a proving ground. There are proving grounds for every single weapon in the game, and they are really just challenges to get good with the weapon, and depending on how well you do, you get a prize.
The Breaker Barracks. Many straight shooters learn their way here. The Breakers used to come here for target practice. Used to play a little game. See who could bust the most targets and the fewest shots.
So pretty simple. Have to take out all of these targets in as few shots as possible.
He's focused. He's armed. And he's off.
So the key here is obviously to figure out the best place to shoot from, and also, you gotta get good at timing the power shot. Balls!
Kid ain't had enough in the Breaker's barracks.
Of course, I'm kind of terrible at the power shot timing right now, because later on you can upgrade the bow to have shorter timing. You can pull the string back faster. I'm used to that timing. So let's try again. There we go.
Takes practice, and a mighty strong bow helps too. He's feeling real proud of that show.
So the third and second place prize will always be some sort of upgrade material. And then first place is generally a secret skill for whatever weapon you were just using.
I almost don't believe it when he says he passed the Breaker's challenge. Dread rum's brewed from swamp weeds, so its effect is as bold as its flavor.
And next time, we will check out the Workman Ward.